time ago, Nintendo made a game called Star Tropics. It got a sequel, and I think that's it. So, Star Tropics is a game it published for the NES, and it has been re-released multiple times on Virtual Console. But Nintendo has never visited this franchise since the NES days. A's. They made a sequel to Star Tropics called Star Tropics Zoda's Revenge. Of course, only for the NES, which I think kind of screwed over the franchise. But I think the reason why Star Tropics isn't around is because of Zelda. Zelda and Star Tropics are two similar games. Okay, the first Zelda games and Star Tropics. They're top-down games where you basically go around and solve puzzles and stuff as well. Of course, Nintendo probably thought, Zelda sold way more copies, especially considering that Zelda came out first, than Star Tropics, and they made Link to the Past, which I think sealed the fate for this franchise, which is why Star Tropics isn't on any other console. This is why this game isn't on any other console. It's very similar to Zelda, and I think Nintendo's one of two franchises that are very similar to each other. That's why Star Tropics is no longer around. It is because the games were very similar to Zelda. Okay. And it was only released in the USA. Which, yeah. They didn't even release these games in Japan. So these games are only America only, which I think also hurt these games' sales. And also the fact that they were very similar to Zelda, and Zelda was already way more popular than Star Tropics. I think that's what really sealed the doom of this franchise. Number 2. Earthbound / Mother. So Earthbound / Mother 2, or the Earthbound Mother franchise, yeah, for some reason, and I guess the word mother is just too inappropriate for Western audiences, so they changed it to Earthbound. Earthbound is widely considered a commercial failure, even though the game sold really well in Japan. But Earthbound is considered a commercial failure, and also it's on Nintendo Switch Online, which means if you have Nintendo Switch Online, you can play Earthbound, which means the game is no longer locked to only be on the Wii U. But Earthbound, despite flopping, has become pretty famous. Yes, it got a prequel, which is called Earthbound Beginnings, and then there's Mother 3, which Nintendo likes to ignore that game. The reason why Earthbound isn't around is very simple. The creator of the game wants nothing to do with making the franchise. He considers this series complete. And the design, and of course, it's Sugito Itoi. I'm sorry, I'm sorry if I butchered his name, but Sugito Itoi is the one behind this series. And of course, until he, eventually passes, because everybody eventually dies, and Nintendo has free reign to do what they want. Kind of like how nobody could make a Dr. Seuss movie because Dr. Seuss wouldn't allow it. Same thing with the directors of Back to the Future are not allowing any remakes until they die. So Earthbound very similar to Dr. Seuss, and Robert Zemeckis and Back to the Future game sequels or remakes. Basically, Itoi is going to take this franchise to his grave, and then Nintendo can do whatever they want. They can either license it out to Square Enix or Atlas, most probably Atlas, because I think that would probably be a better fit to making this game, because Nintendo has enough studios to make games. But considering the fact that people love this game so much, I think they're going to probably bring it back once Itoi is gone. And basically, he takes the franchise to the grave. So basically, this franchise is dead because Itoi is going to take this to the grave and basically said, the story's complete, so I'm going to take this franchise to the grave. Even though they could do like with Final Fantasy and make a fourth game and make a completely different story. And also, there was technically a spiritual successor to this game called Undertale. And yeah, if that game became really popular, I wonder what the creator of Earthbound, Sugito Itoi, thinks of course, Undertale. Number 3. Moving on from one RPG to another, it is the Mario and Luigi series. The Mario and Luigi series is full of charm and is considered one of the most beloved Mario RPG series. Yep, because it's also Paper Mario, at least the first two Paper Mario games. But it is very unlikely because Alpha Dream became bankrupt because they decided to, for some reason, remake Bowser's Inside Story instead of making something for the Switch. They went bankrupt. And also they remade Superstar Saga, which could have easily been put on the Switch as well. Well, and the 3DS. So really, Alpha Dream basically made themselves go bankrupt because they could have easily just put both the Bowser's Inside Story remake and Superstar Saga both on the 3DS and Switch. You're saying that, oh, that's impossible. Oh yeah, they put Fire Emblem Warriors on both the Switch and the 3DS. So they could have easily made we could play these games on the Nintendo Switch. But yeah, Mario Luigi likely isn't coming back anytime soon. Which means the only Mario RPG series isn't an RPG series anymore. It's Paper Mario. Which means both the Paper Mario series as an RPG and Mario Luigi are dead. Which means there's no Mario RPG series left. Unless they want to bring back Xeno and the King and Square Enix to make a Mario RPG 2, with a bit every 90s kid who wants Xeno and Smash will be drooling, like, oh my god, Xeno's back. Oh my god, the greatest character of all time. But this game series basically was exclusively to handhelds, and it basically died with the 3DS. Paper Mario basically died as an RPG series because Nintendo basically said, oh, unique characters, they suck, even though they put unique characters in Mario Odyssey. So I don't know what Nintendo was thinking of Mario. At least they put a unique villain and the Origami King. When it comes to unique characters, there is overall a big leap in the direction that does Bowser being the villain for the last two Paper Mario games before that. But yeah, it is very unlikely that Mario Luigi as a series and Paper Mario and the style of the first three games, yes, I'm including Super Paper Mario, is unlikely to return anytime soon. Next game series, Chibi Robo. So I actually have the original game for the GameCube, and this is probably the most mishandled Nintendo franchise ever. So Chibi Robo came out for 2005 for the GameCube, and didn't really do too well because Nintendo mishandled the release date for the game, of course. And of course, the DS version, they only put it at GameStop. The DS version was not that good. But basically, Chibi Robo, Nintendo just didn't give a shit about this franchise. Nintendo didn't care. And instead of making a grand sequel for the Wii for Chibi Robo, because the game sold modestly, and also I have the game on the, GameCube, so I actually have a pretty well game. Man, they're selling this game for almost $300. Man, I have this game on the GameCube, and I can sell this. No, I'm not selling the game, but the last game in the series, and what could be the last game for maybe forever, it's Chibi Robo Zip Blast. It's just a shame that they made such a lovable character, and they just basically wasted the entire franchise. There was no point in making a game like Zip Blast. They could have just straight up ported the original game for the 3DS instead, and you still got the more value about this. Chibi Robo Park Patrol also exists. Nobody cares about this game. Well, actually, apparently 99% of people actually like this game. Maybe I was the only one who didn't care for this game because I had it. Cause I remember my brother had it and he didn't play it all too much. I didn't play it all too much. Actually, this game was alright. But it wasn't very similar to the first game. The first game just had a lot of charm to it, and I just think Nintendo so as to remaster the game, so more people could play it. Similar to what they did with Pikmin 3, which was another game that didn't really do too well because it was on the Wii U. And Nintendo gave Pikmin 3 a second chance, but they didn't really put Chibi Robo on any other console. And that's basically left this franchise to die. Which is pretty unfortunate because Chibi Robo was a pretty, also they did release on the Wii only exclusively in Japan, obviously. But yeah, in America, we never got a remake or remaster of Chibi Robo. There was a remake apparently on the Wii, but only Japanese people could play the game, which was pretty unfortunate. Curse you, Nintendo. Nintendo really mishandled this entire series, which is why it's dead. Next franchise. Next franchise is Star Fox. Yep, the game series died because of the fan base. The Star Fox fan base is one of the most divided fan bases in all of history. Yeah, they're basically the Sonic fandom of Nintendo fandoms. Also, there's a lot of furries in the fandom, but that's what you get when you have your main character being an anthropomorphic fox, and then the main villain being a wolf. You also have a bird and a rabbit, and then you have that Toad. And then you have Crystal, which made the fandom even more about the furries. But Star Fox, it was a rail shooter. And then they made Star Fox Adventures, which was originally a, Zelda like game about dinosaurs. But then they had to put Star Fox because Rare and Nintendo, they couldn't, Rare and Nintendo basically broke up because Microsoft bought Rare. But the Star Fox fandom hated Star Fox Adventures because it was not like Star Fox 64. And yeah, we're going to go back to Star Fox 64 as well. They also did like Star Fox Assault, which, because it wasn't entirely, it wasn't entirely like Star Fox 64. And then Star Fox Command, Star Fox Command, nobody liked that game. And then they brought back Star Fox 64 for the 3DS. Everybody was fine. And then Star Fox Zero was a complete disaster, even though it was a little remake of Star Fox 64 because the controls were so bad and it was released on the Wii U. They sort of bought this for the Switch, we ported it out of the Switch, as a watch title, so more people could play the game, and then they put Star Fox 2, which was a casual game for the NES. But the Star Fox fandom basically killed the Sonic fan. No, not killed. Sonic killed the entire franchise before because they had every new release that came out refusing to buy the game because it wasn't Star Fox 64 remake or Star Fox 64 2, or it wasn't close enough to Star Fox 64. Basically, and then they tried to bring back Star Fox, but Nintendo does that and say, let's make these really bad motion controls and make it the default setting and only setting for the game, and nobody bought the game, basically. So Star Fox had a chance to come back, but the Star Fox fandom is basically still, as the same as it was 20 years ago. Basically crying that not every Star Fox game is Star Fox 64 remake, which is pretty sad. The Star Fox fandom is like this. Also, we got Starlink, which was basically a Ubisoft game, but in the Nintendo version, you can play as Star Fox. But yeah, Nintendo killed this franchise, basically. They want to give it one more chance, but nobody would bought the broken Star Fox Zero game. Next series. So F-Zero is a game series that I never played. Yep. So F-Zero, the last game they made was F-Zero Climax, and then of course in America, it's F-Zero GX. So, Nintendo just forgot the series existed, even though Captain Falcon's in every Smash Bros. Game. It is actually pretty infuriating that they didn't make any new F-Zero games since 2004. Like, Nintendo. Maybe it was because the games didn't really sell too well on the GameCube, and maybe that's why they gave up on F-Zero. But Star Fox is also the same tier as F-Zero in terms of game sales, and they brought back Star Fox on the Wii U. I think the main reason why F-Zero is gone, I know I made a whole video about this a while ago, but the main reason why F-Zero is no longer in existence is because of Mario Kart. Nintendo saw that Mario Kart was way more popular, even though the games were not very similar whatsoever. Mario Kart, because it had Mario in it, and the games were very fun, was the premier racing series, and very similar to Star Tropics. This series fell a similar fate to obviously, Star Tropics. And Nintendo didn't want two series very similar to each other. As well, one that did sell and one that sold. But Nintendo does have very similar games that are of the same genre. You have Kirby, which is mostly developed by HAL, and of course you have Mario. Both series are able to coexist because Kirby is beloved and will actually sell consoles and copies. Kirby the Forgotten Land recently sold 5 million copies. You have Fire Emblem and Xenoblade. Both franchises was basically saved by Super Smash Bros. And have their own distinct fandoms and are not going anywhere soon. Same thing as Splatoon as well. Even though Splatoon has nothing similar. And also, both Xenoblade and Fire Emblem are able to coexist with Pokemon, which is one of the biggest series. But Pokemon is not a traditional RPG, obviously. It's because you get to catch Pokemon, you know, and is very different than most RPGs out there. Xenoblade and Pokemon, despite the only similarities, these same thing of Fire Emblem are all three different types of games, which is how they're able to coexist. Fire Emblem is a strategy game that is mixed of RPG elements. And Xenoblade is a traditional RPG, and Pokemon you catch is a monster catching simulator, which other franchises try to copy, like Yokai Watch, you have Digimon, and you have Temtem. All were supposed to be Pokemon killers, but none of them killed Pokemon. And yeah, those were franchises that Nintendo killed. There were several franchises that almost happened. Pikmin. If Nintendo didn't make Pikmin 3, there was a likelihood that Pikmin would have stayed exclusively for the GameCube. But Nintendo is making a Pikmin 4, so Pikmin is not on this list. But Nintendo seems to care somewhat about Pikmin, because they got, hey, Pikmin, Pikmin Bloom, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and probably on the next Nintendo console. So Pikmin 1 and 2 on Nintendo Switch Online, and of course Pikmin 4 coming out this year. So Nintendo does have a lot of care for the Pikmin franchise, and it's starting to promote it alongside the other rest of popular franchises like Fire Emblem and Xenoblade. Yeah, Pikmin's in the tier of those franchises now as well. Well, you can say the same thing about Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem Awakening was supposed to be the last game in the franchise. Yep, it was supposed to be similar to TB Robo Zip Blast. Fire Emblem Awakening was supposed to be the last game in the Fire Emblem franchise. But actually, the game actually sold quite well. And saved the series from extinction, essentially. Because before that, Fire Emblem games didn't really all sell too well in the West. But Fire Emblem Awakening basically saved the franchise from death, essentially. And it was probably because of Smash Bros. But Fire people said, you know what, maybe let's give this game series a chance. If I don't like it, I don't. And then we started getting what happened in Fire Emblem Smash Bros., Fire Emblem Fates, Fire Emblem Heroes, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Fire Emblem Echoes, Fire Emblem Warriors, a second Fire Emblem Warriors, Fire Emblem Three Houses, and now Fire Emblem Engage. I know a lot of people get pissed off when they see Fire Emblem, which is mostly because of Smash Bros. But Fire Emblem is actually a pretty popular franchise. And Fire Emblem Three Houses is actually the best-selling game in the series. So this series is going nowhere anytime soon. And then we have Xenoblade. Xenoblade almost did come in America. Yep. Xenoblade almost didn't even come out in America and almost stayed a Japanese exclusive series. But fans demanded this game come to the USA. And then they put Sonic and Smash Bros. Xenoblade already had a cult following before. And then Xenoblade got a game on the Wii U, which wasn't anything notable, and got a 3DS port exclusively for the new 3DS, and then got a Fallout sequel in 2017, and then Xenoblade Chronicles X was completely forgotten forever, and then we got Xenoblade Chronicles Remastered, and then we got Xenoblade 3 with a cat girl. Yeah, cat girls are completely stupid, but there's nothing you can do about it because I'm in an extreme minority of people not liking cat girls. But if the first Xenoblade wasn't released in the United States, the game series would have never went off as well. And probably Sonic would have never been put into Smash Bros. Either as well. So yeah, Xenoblade, if it wasn't for the people begging Nintendo to put this game into the USA, and even then, Nintendo's like with TV Robo Park, the DS one, Nintendo said, okay, only at GameStop. So if you didn't like GameStop, you could buy Xenoblade. But they put the game on the 3DS and the Switch, making the game more accessible now for people. But I bet that's the reason why they put Xenoblade Chronicles 1 on the Switch to begin with. To make the game more accessible. And for people who have never played who want to get into the franchise to play the first game. Because you either have to buy a new 3DS or have to buy a Wii and have to pay an enormous amount of price for the Xenoblade 1. So yeah, this is a franchise that Nintendo almost didn't even give a chance in America. But they decided to release it after bad demand for this game to be released in America. Unlike Mother 3, which never got an American release, Xenoblade Nintendo actually listened to the fans and gave Xenoblade an American release. So, fortunately, Nintendo was able to salvage several of the franchises from dying as well. Xenoblade, Blade, as well as Fire Emblem. But for every Fire Emblem we get, you get a Chibi Robo and a Star Fox box. For every Xenoblade, you get a Star Tropics and other forgotten franchises like Kid Icarus. And Kid Icarus did get a comeback in 2014, but has it, like 2012, not 2014. Kid Icarus supposedly released in 2012. Sorry about that. But hasn't got a sequel since then. But what happened to Kid Icarus? So, the most interesting, before we end the video, the most interesting game series is Kid Icarus. Despite Kid Icarus Uprising gained all of the praise in the world and selling a lot of copies, Kid Icarus Uprising can still be bought on the 3DS, but the game is pretty expensive. As well, unless you want to buy it from Nintendo Store. People are paid upward of $200 as well, even though Nintendo is paying $35 for Kid Icarus Uprising scene. Maybe they're shipping it from Japan, but Kid Icarus, they released Kid Icarus Uprising, and then they just never made another Kid Icarus game again. Yeah, this franchise is on hiatus, and with Sakurai effectively retiring from the gaming industry, there was a very likely chance we might never see this franchise again. Maybe there was also a very well chance we might see another game in the franchise. Again, there's a lot of third-party developers who would probably love to take on the task of making a new Kid Icarus game. For example, Nintendo allows third-party game developers to develop for their franchises all the time. Oh wait, they own those studios now. I'm talking about Microsoft Soft and Camelot. But even then, Nintendo still allows third-party developers to make games for the consoles. Mario plus Rabbids is an example of this, of a collaboration between Ubisoft and Nintendo. And with the success of those games, I think, and of course Mario and Olympics and Mario and Sonic and Olympic games, Nintendo does collaborate with other studios. So Nintendo could easily collaborate with another studio to make Kid Icarus. And also one of Nintendo's most famous collaborations is collaborating with Namco Bandai to make the newer Smash Bros. Games. Which Nintendo could obviously still do that even after Sakurai has retired from the gaming industry. Because Namco Bandai has a lot of resources to make the next Smash Bros. Game. And I bet if Namco is developing the game, both Kazuya and Pac-Man are returning. But Kid Icarus' hiatus is a very interesting one. Despite Kid Icarus Uprising selling quite well for a game selling over 1 million copies, which many games wish they could do, and the game was positively reviewed by many people and is considered a cult classic, and considered one of the best games on the 3DS, Nintendo has never attempted to bring back Kid Icarus ever since then. Maybe they could bring back Kid Icarus Uprising on the Switch as well. Well, well, considering they brought back Kirby Return to Dreamland, and no one was seeing that coming, Kid Icarus Uprising for the Switch could easily be like Fire Emblem Awakening and Pikmin 3 Deluxe for the Switch. And of course, TB1 with Zip Brass. Hey, if you buy Kid Icarus Uprising for the Switch, we'll make another Kid Icarus game. Even though Sakurai has retired from the gaming industry, Nintendo could still get a lot. Nintendo still is full of talent, or can get a talented third-party developer to help them make the game. Nintendo has development teams for most of the major games, which is why the sports games are made by third-party developers, and why Super Smash Bros. Ultimate needed the help of Namco Bandai to make, and why Ubisoft were the ones behind Mario plus Rabbids mostly. And which is why they also work with companies like Koei Tecmo to make the Zero. Well, that bad Xenoblade Warriors is coming soon, given that Xenoblade 3 sold really well as well. But Kid Icarus is one of the strangest Nintendo franchises that they have not brought back. Considering that Kid Icarus Uprising sold well, Nintendo just says, you know what, Kid Icarus is on hiatus. But I think just like Pikmin 4 coming out, I think eventually Kid Icarus will get another game. Even though it's pretty unlikely, Pikmin 4 still was created. But again, Pikmin is one of Miyamoto's babies. Kid Icarus is also a dead franchise that Sakurai wanted to bring back as a passion project for the 3DS as well. The biggest surprise they didn't release Kid Icarus Uprising and the Wii, considering the fact that the whole thing about the Wii is motion controls. And of course, I think that if Sakurai is truly teasing Kid Icarus Uprising coming out to the Switch, there is a very likely chance that Nintendo might use Kid Icarus Uprising for the Switch to justify another game in the franchise. And a lot of it will attract a lot of new fans to the series, and of course a lot of people who want to return to the game and play through the game again. Mostly people who like the game, or of course, those journalists who will complain, why is Nintendo releasing Kid Icarus for the Switch as well. But I think, and Nintendo's making another Kid Icarus game, I think this will make it for the new console. If Nintendo is truly making a new console next year, I think it'll be a perfect watch title, Kid Icarus Remaster. And also, a lot of games have been getting remakes and remasters pretty recently. You had Crash Bandicoot, getting remakes and remaster, getting a Fallout remake, Pac-Man World Repack coming out. You have Sonic, and of course you have failed ones like Sonic Colors coming for the consoles. Good thing I thought the boy about Sonic Colors Recolors, which is a pretty boring title. But yeah, I think Kid Icarus Reflight or something like in that vein is a pretty good idea to bring back. This is a beloved game that a lot of people love, and it's a very hard game to access. So I think putting the game on the Switch and maybe Nintendo's next console, I think it'll be a pretty genius move as well. Nintendo brought back other games like Miitopia for the free as well, and brought back Pikmin 3. Two games that didn't really sell too well because either the console it was released on or the timing it was released. Giving people chances to play these games again, or new people to buy them, which is why a lot of Wii U games are ported to the Switch. But that is a brief summary of several of Nintendo's dead franchises. We can talk about more franchises like Punch-Out and other franchises as well. Actually, we'll talk about Punch-Out. So Punch-Out, the last game, was released on Wii. And I think Nintendo will intentionally replace Punch-Out with ARMS. I know ARMS is not, I know, but Punch-Out the Wii did really sell all too well. Nintendo wanted to bring back Punch-Out, which was a very popular game for the NES and Super Nintendo, which was Super Punch-Out. But people didn't really care about this franchise coming back, which is unfortunate because Punch-Out is a very beloved game series. And has a lot of personality in its characters. Despite this, Nintendo practically replaced it with freaking ARMS. Yep. And ARMS is likely to get a sequel for the next Nintendo console, considering how well ARMS sold. So, very unfortunately, Punch-Out is not coming back anytime soon. considering the Wii game did sell, and Nintendo basically said, you know what, well, let's make ARMS, which is effectively an inferior game to the Punch Out franchise. Considering that Punch Out has way more personality, and even had Donkey Kong cameo in it. You could have other Nintendo characters cameo and Punch Out for the Nintendo Switch. Make use of similar gameplay to games like Fitness Boxing. But no, Nintendo wanted to focus on ARMS, even shoehorned ARMS into Super Smash Bros., telling you, hey, this is the Punch Out replacement, accept it. Which is pretty unfortunate for the Punch Out franchise. As yet another one of Nintendo's dead franchises. Maybe Nintendo could contact the Fitness Boxing developers to make a new Punch Out game, considering they made those games pretty successful as well. And hey, Donkey Kong could come back, and other Donkey Kong characters as well could appear like King K. Rool. And Nintendo is too scared to put King K. Rool, but you can put other characters like King Dedede as well as guest stars and heck, you can even have Willowback punch against Mario. Considering that he was a referee in the first game, you could definitely have Mario and Willowback punch it out. Heck, you could even have a whole thing dedicated to Willowback fighting against other gaming characters. And yeah, you're gonna have the hardest match up against Willowback and Kirby. And Kirby will be boxing Kirby ability. Also, you can have Willowback face against various Nintendo characters that are very popular, Captain Falcon and other popular Nintendo characters. And of course, there are all the very unique and funny Punch-Out characters. This is a franchise that I think Nintendo should definitely bring back as well. Similar to Chibi Robo, but I don't see Punch-Out or Chibi Robo coming back anytime soon. The only reason I never played Punch-Out for the Wii was because it was on the Wii. I didn't really like the Wii all too much. But it seems that Nintendo has franchises that it's focused on. And I think it's okay to have a franchise die. Nintendo can't maintain every franchise out there, which is why franchises like Star Tropics, F-Zero, Earthbound Transmotor, Punch-Out, Kid Icarus, and many others have been left in the dust. And yeah, Fossil Fires as well, which I think is probably a dead franchise because of Pokemon. But again, people, even though Fossil Fires was a cool game, Pokemon was just much better and much cooler and much more popular, which is why Fossil Fires is dead as well. Which is unfortunate because I played Fossil Fires Frontiers, and that game was actually pretty cool. I didn't beat the game, but Fossil Fires is another franchise that Nintendo basically said, okay, you know what, we tried making this new franchise, but people just prefer Pokemon. Very similar to Star Tropics versus Zelda. It's just this game couldn't coexist with Pokemon because it's another very similar game to Pokemon, but instead it's battling dinosaurs. And it just couldn't be Pokemon, unfortunately. And the last game didn't really sell all too well. And that's why Fossil Fighters is a dead franchise. And there were many other Nintendo franchises that we didn't talk about. Endless Ocean, Eternal Darkness. You had Josen the Giant. You had 1080 Snowboarding. You have Crew Ran and all those NES games that never got a sequel to the NES sizes. Nintendo still promotes franchises like Star Fox as an important franchise. So maybe Star Fox will come back. But Nintendo... Oh, wait, this is Nintendo fandom. But this is all the franchises Nintendo owns. But these are the big franchises. And then we have all these series. These series are all Nintendo's dead franchises. We didn't even talk about stuff like Nintendogs, Pushmo, Rhythm Heaven, and of course Steel Diver, Sin and Punishment, Taranasi as well. And all the single entry franchises as well. Nintendo is saying on a lot of series. But I think a lot of these series, they get sequels either because of old games or because Nintendo didn't give a shit about these series or they didn't really sell all too well. Which I think is the case of most of these franchises besides ARMS. So all these series besides OBS didn't really sell all too well. Well, old NES games, or specifically designed to be one-off games. And then we have a lot of Nintendo's other series. Again, I didn't even talk about stuff like Pusbo. I didn't talk about, Nintendo actually owns Picross? I I didn't know that. I thought someone else owned Picross, but apparently Nintendo owns Picross. I guess he wrote something new every day. And yeah, they're still making Picross games for Nintendo consoles. It's just not a very important franchise size that Nintendo cares about. Now, all too much compared to others. But apparently they're still making Picross games as well. I remember Picross 3D, I made like ridiculous things. And then you have Golden Sun, another dead franchise that Nintendo owns. Nintendo has a lot of franchises that they own but are dead. And I could go over some of them. Golden Sun, RPG series. Didn't really sell too well. They brought it back for the DS, but again, nobody bought it. Art Academy. Again, I don't even know if they make Art Academy games anymore. Maybe, yeah. Pusmo. I don't know if they make Pusmo games anymore. The Ted Dogs. They made a 3DS game, but the casual era of the DS is gone. Maybe they could make a game for mobile or the Switch as a download only game. Pilot Wings. They made a 3DS game and nobody bought it. Rhythm Heaven. No idea why this game series is dead. But the last game they released was Rhythm Heaven Megamix. And apparently that game must have not sold because that game didn't get a sequel. Cool. But that's basically about Nintendo's dead franchises. So Nintendo has a lot of dead franchises. And unfortunately, Nintendo can't keep in check every franchise. So unfortunately, some of Nintendo's franchises are bound to die. And we talked about a lot of them. They either received one or two games, and they didn't really sell all too well, like Sin and Punishment. And Nintendo does some of those franchises to the side as well. And yeah, that's basically about this video. So yeah, and I didn't even talk about Custom Robo and others. Well, and Starfy. Remember that game on the DS? That was pretty cool, but they didn't make another Starfy game since then. And that's basically this video. Goodbye.